Hi, my name's Russ, and I've been a professional pilot for just over 40 years. And while I certainly don't know everything, I'm hoping that I can add a little insight to this great channel called You Can See ATC. It's a YouTube channel put together by an air traffic controller who finds incidents and communications between airplanes and air traffic control that are very interesting for either aviators or just people who are interested in aviation. So I hope to add some pilot insight, and feel free to add any comments or questions into the comment section below, and like and subscribe his channel. He does a terrific job of putting out there some very interesting communications. So our first video today is going to be an American Airlines 737 that departed Miami, I believe bound for Houston, and they have a problem en route. Let's have a look and talk about what might be going on.
Center American 329. Go ahead. Hey, can we?
So, real quick, I'm going to highlight this this data block here. This stands for American Airlines is the AAL flight 329. B738 means it's a Boeing 737 model 800, and this is the current altitude of the airplane. It's climbing through 34,500 feet. So you can see in the graphics here below, this is the audio transcription from what you just heard that I kind of interrupted, saying, hey, can we descend to flight level 320? That's pilot lingo for 32,000 feet. We call them flight levels. Once we're above 18,000 feet, you'll hear altitudes referred to as flight levels. So they have an issue going on with their pressurization, likely because they want to descend to 32,000 feet and not climb to an altitude that they were planning to climb to. So smart move. Anytime you have a hiccup in the pressurization system, you want to start with requesting a lower altitude. You may be able to resolve it and then continue your climb, but if you have to descend, you've got less altitude to lose to get to a safe altitude.
Descend to flight level 320.
American 329 approved. Descend and maintain flight level 320.
Descend to 320, American 329. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
Aircraft saying mayday, 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 ident.
Okay, so you can see what started out as maybe a slow developing problem with their pressurization quickly became a full-blown emergency. And the call now accepted worldwide is mayday, mayday, mayday. We used to say we are declaring an emergency, and we are still sort of transitioning out of calling it an emergency versus using the term mayday, 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 which is the term used worldwide by all airlines regardless of country of origin, so that it's recognized by controllers as a distress call requiring immediate attention. So they called mayday, mayday, and the last half of the word third mayday was cut off. And it was cut off for a couple of reasons. One, they're busy, they're putting on oxygen masks, they're probably starting a descent, they're looking to run a checklist. So the pilots are very busy. They're prioritizing flying the airplane, they have to handle an emergency, they've got to set up communications with each other. There's lots going on in that cockpit. So plenty of great reasons why they cut out the half of the last word of mayday and their call sign. So the call sign would have been mayday, 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 American 329 requesting descent to 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet is a number often used in non-mountainous areas because that allows us to get to a point of elevation where the the mask can be taken off if you're wearing them as pilots, as well as if the passengers have oxygen masks on, they can take off the masks. So 10,000 feet is a standard request in, once again, non-mountainous areas. If you're flying over the Rockies or the Sierra Nevada, it might be a descent to an altitude that's safe and gives you terrain clearance. So let's listen in further.
329, we could descend to 10,000.
All other aircraft stand by. American 329er, was that you, saying Mayday? Aircraft on 128.22. Aircraft going 128.22, saying Mayday, ident.
And last heard was they're descending to 10,000, sounded like they had their mask on.
Roger.
So another aircraft on the same frequency as American was trying to assist the controller by saying it sounded like they requested to go to 10,000 feet and they had their masks on. It's a key point because when you put on your oxygen masks, the oxygen masks have their own built-in microphone, separate than the normal microphone that we use for transmissions. And that microphone is right next to your mouth. It sounds different. There's a little echoey sort of transmission in the mask, so it definitely sounds distinctively different, and the other aircraft recognized that and was just passing it along to the controller, who acknowledged it with a roger.
Center American 329, descending 10,000, we need to head back to Miami.
American 329, Miami Center, roger. Descend and maintain 10,000, 10,000, Miami altimeter 3005, stay in tension.
Okay, so when the noise you heard in the background of the American communication was that beep, 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 that's the sound of a cabin altitude warning. So it means that the aircraft's cabin got above 10,000 feet. So the oxygen masks may or may not have deployed, depending on how high the cabin got, but that noise that you're hearing means the cabin is currently above 10,000 feet. It might be slightly above 10,000 feet, it might be much higher than that, but that warning is in the background, and it is a distractor for anybody who's gone through that sort of emergency. It's one of the noises that like a fire warning, like any other warning in an aircraft that needs to get your attention. Once it's got your attention, it can be very distracting. So American is doing a great job. They're flying the airplane, aviate, navigate, communicate. So they're doing the right thing. They're getting the aircraft down, and they've requested a low altitude, and they want to go back to Miami, which is their intention. So the controller asked them what their intentions were, and their initial request was they want to go back to Miami.
We need to go to Fort Myers, American 329, descending 10,000.
American 329, roger. 32 Fort Myers International, via right turn heading 050. There'll be a 230 heading initial turn.
Alright, heading 230 initial, American 329.
And that's an American 329 correction. Right turn heading 050. Right turn 050.
Right turn 050, American 329.
So you can hear the pilot that is communicating with the air traffic controller. You could hear some of the distress, very, very natural. This is something pilots see rarely, if ever, in their career, as a rapid loss of cabin pressure. So you can hear that there's a sense of urgency in his voice, and they've requested now to go to Fort Myers. Fort Myers looks like a point that they saw that on their onboard display was closer in point of time than going all the way back to Miami. Now, the captain has, as always happens in a non-normal situation, the captain will assign flying duties and checklist duties. So the captain might have said, you're flying the airplane and you have the radios, and I'm working the checklist. So that's very common, is a division of duties. So someone's job is only to fly the airplane, and they can leave the autopilot on if it's available, which is often a great choice, or they can hand fly. But someone's job is just to take care of flying the airplane. The other pilot will be running the appropriate checklist, maybe notifying the company of a diversion, maybe talking to flight attendants if there's time, depending on the circumstances. But there's lots of work to do as the non-flying pilot. Flying pilot is going to be busy as well, maintaining control of the aircraft.
American 329, when you have a chance, I need your attention, what assistance you need, and souls and passengers on board. American 329, it'll be a continue right turn. RSW is about a heading of 064 and 35 miles.
Say again for American 329.
American 329 RSW is on a right turn heading 065 and now 35 miles. There is moderate to heavy precipitation, about 10 miles southwest of the field. There is 15 miles in diameter.
Okay, so you can see that the controller is being extremely helpful. He's given the American crew a heading and a distance to Fort Myers, and along with some weather that American may or may not have seen, because to see the weather clearly they need to be pointed toward the airport with their radar on that would show rain showers. And the American crew is very busy. They're running the checklist, they're coordinating. It's a very busy time in the cockpit, and that's why the pilot is asked to say again, because they have prioritized taking care of the aircraft, and one of the first things that go away is your ability to hear. You're listening to each other, you're running through checklists, and you may not hear the controller talking. They may have heard their call sign, but that was about it. So the controller doing a really nice job, and so same with the crew.
American 329 RSW is on a right turn heading 065 and now 35 miles. There is moderate to heavy precipitation, about 10 miles southwest of the field. There is 15 miles in diameter.
Okay, heading 065, American 329.
American 329, when you have chance, what seems to be the issue?
We're losing pressurization, American 329.
American 329, roger.
You can see up here.
American 329, we'd like to go to Miami, the weather's better there.
American 329, roger. Clear to Miami International via right turn, fly heading of 110.
Heading 110, American 329.
So now with the weather updated at Fort Myers and the controller telling the crew that there are some scattered rain showers and thunder showers near Fort Myers, the crew has made a great choice to return back to Miami, where the weather is better. They departed there not long ago. They do know what the weather's like, and they have made that decision. If you watch this number here, their altitude, you'll see it has come down quickly from 32,500 to now 21,000, and they continue to send.
I have a few questions for you when you have your workload decreases.
Traffic standby. Center American 329.
American 329, Miami Center, Miami altimeter 3005. You're cleared direct to Miami International.
3005, American 329.
American 329, when you're able, if I can get your souls on board and your fuel remaining in time.
So the controller is requesting souls on board and fuel remaining in time. So there's usually a few items the controllers always will ask anytime you declare an emergency or mayday, mayday, mayday. One is souls on board. So the number of souls on board the aircraft includes young kids that are on the laps of people, of other passengers. It includes the flight attendants. It includes, there's a reason in the term souls on board and not the number of passengers. So they want to have everyone accounted for once they're on the ground, especially in the event of evacuation. The other thing that they want to know is fuel, and they want to know two forms of fuel. One is in pounds, and that's for firefighting information. Of course, the more fuel you have on board, if there happens to be a fire, the likelihood the fire may need more equipment to put it out. and fuel in time. So the number of minutes of flight time that the crew has is so the controller knows how much time the crew can take in delays, if there were any. When you declare an emergency or mayday, 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 you are given all priority. Air traffic is cleared out for you, and so there shouldn't be any delay to get into any airport to land. But they do like to know how much fuel you have on board in time and how many pounds of fuel you have on board for firefighting capabilities. The last item is hazardous material, abbreviated as hazmat. So a controller often will say, do you have any hazmat on board? Once again, if the firefighters are fighting a fire, they'd like to know, are there any hazardous chemicals on board the aircraft? Is there a load of batteries on the airplane? So these are things that are important for firefighters if there happens to be a fire as part of the emergency.
125 souls on board. We got 160 minutes of fuel, American 129. 329.
American 329, roger. Say the souls on board one more time. I got the fuel.
125 souls on board.
125, roger. American
Miami
329, do you guys have any
American,
hazmat on board?
Miami American 329, request 8,000.
American 329, descend to maintain 8,000.
8,000, American 829.
American 329, do you guys have any hazmat on board?
Negative.
Roger. And American 329, they're also asking here, did the mask deploy in the cabin area?
Stand by.
American 329, what kind of assistance do you guys need on the ground?
And the controller asked if the mask deployed for a simple reason. If the mask's deployed automatically, that tells the controller that the cabin got above 14 or 15,000 feet. Many airplanes, the masks are programmed to deploy in the neighborhood of 14,000 feet. And so if they did deploy, that might tell the paramedics that some people may have suffered issues regarding hypoxia or the lack of oxygen. So that's why they're asking that, in my opinion.
American 329.
American 329, guys.
American 329, what kind of assistance do you guys need on the ground?
We don't need assistance. We would like to clear the runway and then taxi to the gate. We just lost our pressurization.
American 329, roger. And I know I asked you guys before. I know you're pretty busy. They're asking to get in here. Do you know if the masks in the cabin deployed?
Stand by. Negative. They did not deploy.
Thank you. American 329, contact Miami approach 120.5.
120.5, American 329.
American 329, Miami approach, 8 is off current at Miami, stay preferred runway 128 left, 8 right or 9.
So you can see here how the controller knows the nature of an emergency and has offered the American crew any runway that's landing into the wind. And so giving them the opportunity to land on the longest runway, they can land on the runway that is closest to their gate, they can land on whatever the crew seems the safest for their current configuration. So great job by the controller to basically make it as easy as possible.
American 329, roger, expect ILS 29. They're just asking, did the oxygen mask happen to drop?
They did not drop in the back.
Okay, thank you. American 329, did you want equipment standing by?
American 329, yes.
So a great answer by American. Almost always the controller will ask, do you want the equipment standing by? This is a case where there's, as far as something physically wrong with the outside of the airplane, there probably isn't anything. So, but having the equipment stand by is free. It's always better to have them there and not use them than it is to tell them to just relax, you don't need them, and then end up wishing you'd had them there. So great call by the American crew. It's free, paid by your tax dollars. Actually, probably their landing fees.
Okay, American 329, request direct to Grit.
American 329, you can go direct Grit, and just curious, are you overweight landing?
Negative.
Okay. American 329, send to maintain 3000. Thank you, American 329. AS Alpha, turn off number 3007. American 329, reduce speed to 210. American 329, 10 miles from Grid, Grid at 3000, clear RLS 9. American 329, 170 to 5 mile final, and actually make that 160 go 5 mile final. Contact tower 229.
So a couple things. The controller is doing a very nice job. He's asked them to when he mentions maintain 170. I think he started with maintain 210 and then 170. That's their indicated speed in knots. So this crew has gone through an emergency, and many times you'll hear the controller say, "Speed your discretion. You're cleared for the approach to whatever runway they're going to," and that is very helpful. But sometimes when the crew is in a rush to get on the ground, getting a standard clearance like was issued, reducing their speed approximately, it looks like maybe 10 miles out, and then further being asked to reduce their speed from 170 to 160, it allows the crew to get into a normal routine. And you didn't hear a readback, and I believe it may have been they took their masks off, and if the masks aren't stowed back in their containers, many aircraft won't go back to the standard microphone that they may have been using. So that might be why we didn't hear the pilots respond. So it's I think at this point they know that they're clear to land. They've got the runway cleared, and you heard the call to the airplane, but the call back may have come through the normal microphone when it really wasn't working yet because the oxygen masks hadn't been restored to their container.
Alright, it's just hard to read the American 329 stuff as long as you don't have the mic on. Alright, unreadable.
165 mile final over to Tower American 329. Tower American 329, ILS 9. American.
So you can see that they figured out the microphone issue and got it all working correctly. In all likelihood, they stowed the oxygen masks and returned to use of a normal mic, and they're loud and clear now.
29 Miami Tower, welcome. Caution wing turbine shift on a heavy Boeing 767 on a 3 mile final. Wind 070 at 10, runway 9 clear to land.
Runway 9 clear to land, American 329.
American 329, I do want to confirm, are you requesting the equipment, the trucks to be available or negative?
Yes, we would like the equipment available.
Roger. Let me know if you want to exit and stop, or what you need, if you need something to check down or anything, or if you want typically, they'll call you back around. What do you guys think?
exit here and have fire commander Cost we'll talk to him and just want to get everything checked out.
9329, turn left uniform, turn left on Victor, and just clear the runway. Pull up onto Sierra, so stop on Sierra, that way away from the runway. And you can stop a bit on Sierra and Victor, and I'm going to have fire commander talk to you in just a moment.
All right, uniform Victor Sierra, clear the runway, and copy that, American 329.
So a great call by the crew. Had to have the fire command inspect the aircraft. Who knows what caused the pressurization? Was there a hole in the aircraft that shouldn't be there? Was there debris that on takeoff punctured a hole that caused the pressurization issue? So the fire command will typically go on a discrete frequency and talk to the crew and tell them what they see, if anything, and then the crew will decide when to continue to the gate if it's appropriate. Thanks for listening in. Certainly appreciate you staying till the end. And if you liked what was said, certainly give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.